Divorce in Nigeria, it is not as easy as we watch in movies. If you're a Nigerian, you're watching this video, oftentimes we watch our Nollywood and would see something called divorce paper, just sign this paper and let's end this marriage. It is just a myth in the movie. It is not real. I am making this video to make many people understand that the day you commence a divorce action, you are not expected to conclude it in weeks. Let's just talk about it. What are the stages of divorce in Nigeria? The first stage is when you consult your lawyer, which we call the consultation or the briefing of your lawyer. That is, Mr. XYZ has visited our office to make us understand that he's willing to dissolve his marriage. So during the consultation, a lot of questions will be asked, such as where the marriage was contracted, when the marriage was contracted, when and where. Okay. Also, other personal information would be given for the drafting of the petition. Okay. So that is a period of the consultation or the briefing. And then they will discuss about things like what should be the reason to give to the court for seeking for dissolution of marriage. That would be during the briefing of the legal practitioner to prepare the process. So after the briefing, and the briefing will also include paying, perfecting the brief. We call that perfection of brief, which is paying the lawyer for the work to be done. So when all that is being done, that is the first stage. Second stage is the drafting of the process. At this stage, the lawyer will use the fact that that the client has given during the consultation to prepare what we call a petition. So we call the divorce paper, what people call divorce paper is actually a petition. So when that is being done, when that is being drafted, in our firm, we draft it and send a soft copy, or the client will come back again to go through it, and then we'll go for filing. The third stage is filing. So then we are to file at any desired high court in Nigeria, in any state in Nigeria. So that is the third stage, the filing. Then the required fee will be paid. The fourth stage is service. This might be, I need to explain this a little bit. I'll give it some time to explain it well so that you, my viewers, can really understand this aspect. So when we talk about the service, in law, you are to serve by personal means. This means that the other party, let's say Mr. XYZ now, the other party is Mrs. XYZ. So needs to be given the document like personally. Nothing like give it to my secretary in the office or give it to my lawyer. No, it has to be Mrs. XYZ that will collect the process. That is what we call personal service. So in a situation whereby Mrs. XYZ is not in Nigeria, or Mrs. XYZ for some reason will not receive the process, what we do is to file an application in court, get a date, file an application in court for us to serve the Mrs. XYZ by pasting at her last known address, or by WhatsApp, or by email, by newspaper publication, whichever the court grants. So that is what we call service by substituted means. That is, the personal service has failed, or there is a high presumption that it will fail, and then we have come to serve by way of substituted means. Okay, so just think about it. This process alone must have taken about, let's say, a period of 2 3 months. It all depends on the location, on the jurisdiction where the petition is being filed. So until when that application is being granted, then we'll enroll the order and make a service by WhatsApp or whichever means the court has granted. That is when we can now proceed to pick a date to enable the respondent, Mrs. XYZ, to have the period of 28 days to think about a defense and consult a lawyer. And after that period of 28 days that must have elapsed, that is when you can come for hearing. In a situation whereby Mr. XYZ is also not in the country to give evidence, we have to move an application for him to give evidence virtually, which will be another adjourned date, or probably while reporting the service. So, in order not to bore you with stories, that is the fourth stage now, which is service. So the next stage after service is to now pick a date for the proper hearing. That is after service must have been achieved, either by personal means or by substituted means. Then a date will be picked for hearing. During that hearing could take about 3 to, let's say, a lot of adjournments. Like we cannot even say whether it's adjournment. Hearing can be concluded in a day, except in a situation whereby parties are not contesting the application. So no delay tactics from both sides. Everyone is up and doing. Okay. So hearing will come in the format like the petitioner, that is Mr. XYZ, the person who has brought the petition before the court for dissolution of marriage is a petitioner. So that person will give evidence. If the respondent is in court, the lawyer of the respondent in court, they are to cross-examine that the petitioner. In the situation whereby they are not in court, they have to adjourn for another date for them to come for cross-examination. If at that point they are not in court, what the court will do is to foreclose them and then another date for their defense. If about one or two adjournments they did not come forward for defense, the court will then foreclose them. Then the next adjournment is what we call the final address. So the lawyer for the petitioner and the respondent, if there is no lawyer for the respondent, then the one for the petitioner will address the court. That's what we call the final address. That is, this is the situation whereby we bring the facts of the case and the position of the law to make the court understand why the court should grant the prayer to dissolve the marriage, and if there are other auxiliary reliefs. So at that point, then the court will adjourn for judgment. So the court will check the evidence, what the petitioner has said on oath during evidence, then the final address. That's what the court will be basing its submission on. That will now be the verdict of the court. So another date will be given for judgment. And from the day of judgment, then we'll start the decree aside. That is an interim order that the marriage will be dissolved in a couple of days. Okay, about 90 days, which is quite equivalent to 3 months. And after that, then we can say, after the 3 months, the expiration of the 3 months, then we get what we call decree absolute. And that is the final order when it comes to dissolution of marriage. So in a nutshell, this I have explained is the simple process. Can I call it simple? Okay, it's the process for dissolution of marriage in Nigeria. This in essence means that dissolution of marriage is not something you want to start now and you want it to be commenced in a couple of weeks. This is a process, but other factors such as there are days that the other lawyer or one of the lawyers would not be in court, and that can make the activities for that day not to be achieved. That is a factor that could affect application to make it a little bit longer. Also, a situation whereby the judge himself might not be, for some reasons, probably they have conference or a lot of things can just happen. Personal issues could just happen, and we like the court is not sitting, and then we have to pick another date. Sometimes court could go on strike. There's what we also call vacation. Courts also go on vacation, and it's not the vacation of the Easter or the Christmas and the New Year vacation. There's a period in the year that the court will go on vacation for a couple of weeks. So these are factors that one puts into consideration when it comes to dissolution of marriage. Dissolution of marriage in Lagos can take for about 2 to 3 years. In Abuja, could take about a year to a year and 6 months. In another state, let's say Niger State, dissolution of marriage could take about 8 months to a year. It all depends on where you want a lawyer to file your application, which is always achievable. If you want it to be filed in a particular state for some reasons, but what should be the most paramount reason should be the duration whereby it will be completed. So that is all I have for you in this video. Please make sure you like this video. If you have any question for me, you may as well drop it in the comment section. And if there's any if you have any other question which you feel is private, you can send it to me via my email address. My email address will be in the description box. Thank you so much, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.